Every time Star Wars fans argue about the Inquisitors, it always comes back to two names, the Second Sister and the Seventh Sister. Two of the most iconic Jedi hunters the Empire ever built, both carrying that same terrifying double-bladed spinning lightsaber. But online, the debate never dies down. Cosplayers, prop collectors, even the game community keep arguing over whose weapon was actually the deadlier design. So today, we're settling it. Not with vibes. Not with she looked cooler arguments. We're going deep into the lore, the actual mechanics, the actual duels, the actual canon, and figuring out once and for all whose lightsaber made them the more dangerous hunter. Before we get into Second Sister and Seventh Sister individually, we need to understand what they were both actually holding, because almost nobody talks about this part. The double-bladed spinning lightsaber first showed up in Star Wars Rebels, Spark of Rebellion back in 2014, and it became the signature weapon of nearly every Inquisitor we've seen since. The Grand Inquisitor, Fifth Brother, Eighth Brother, Ninth Sister, all the way down to background Inquisitors like the 13th Sister. Same core design, small tweaks per user. Here's how it worked. The ringed emitter could spin independently around the hilt, so the blades rotated at high speed without the wielder doing anything. Great for intimidation. Great for deflecting blaster fire from multiple directions at once. But here's the part the Empire clearly didn't think through. That same ring was the weapon's biggest weakness. Because it wasn't made of lightsaber-resistant material, a skilled opponent could literally cut the ring apart while it was spinning, and the whole weapon would fly to pieces. Canon proved exactly this against the Grand Inquisitor, using both his and Ezra's blades to tear the ring apart mid-duel. So, cool design, built-in flaw. Keep that in mind because it matters for both our contenders today. The Second Sister, real name Trilla Suduri, is the primary antagonist of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, released by Respawn Entertainment in 2019. She also appears in the tie-in comic Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith number 19. Her weapon was a standard issue, double-bladed spinning lightsaber, red blades. No major mechanical variation from the base Inquisitor model. What made her design memorable wasn't a gimmick, it was the detail work. Fans actually found Aurebesh text engraved along the ring of her saber, and when people decoded it, it turned out to be gibberish, just flavor text the Respawn art team snuck in, according to reporting from Screen Rant back in 2022. But here's the important lore point. Trilla's real weapon was never the saber. Multiple in-universe sources, including her official Fallen Order character profile, describe her greatest asset as her intellect, her ability to predict and anticipate her opponent's behavior. She was trained by Jedi Knight Seri Junda during the Clone Wars, survived Order 66, was captured and tortured until she broke, and came out the other side as one of the Empire's most feared Jedi hunters. In terms of actual combat feats, she fought Cal Kestis multiple times across the game, held the upper hand in several of those duels, and ultimately lost to him only after he'd grown significantly as a fighter over the course of the story. She was executed by Vader personally after failing to retrieve a Jedi holocron. So, on paper, elite duelist, tactically brilliant, but weapon-wise, completely stock. Now here's where it gets interesting. The Seventh Sister, a Mirialan Inquisitor introduced in Star Wars Rebels, carried, according to her official Star Wars databank entry, the same model of double-bladed lightsaber as the Grand Inquisitor himself. But her specific hilt had upgrades the Second Sister's never showed. According to Wikipedia's breakdown of her weapon, the emitter ring on her saber could fully detach from the hand grip, completely separate from the rest of the weapon, and be used as a standalone throwing disc. On top of that, she could spin the ring in a helicopter-like motion, fast enough to actually lift herself off the ground with it. That's not just intimidating design. That's genuine tactical utility nobody else in the Inquisitorius demonstrated on screen. Her hilt was also cosmetically distinct. Smaller twin blades, curved hooks, and heavier ornate engraving on the ring compared to other Inquisitor models. Combat-wise, she's consistently described as one of the most capable Inquisitors in the entire Order. Strong in both lightsaber ability and force use, according to breakdowns from sources like Star Wars databank profiles and character analysis from Bossk's Bounty. She hunted Ahsoka Tano, Kanan Jarrus, and Ezra Bridger across multiple engagements, the medical station chase, the Takobo kidnapping attempt, the Garel ambush, and she wasn't easily beaten in any of them. Even when Ahsoka Tano personally arrived to fight her, the seventh sister held her own for a stretch, before ultimately being overpowered. She was eventually killed by Maul on Malachor, but it took the combined pressure of Maul, Ahsoka, Canon, and Ezra's group closing in before that happened. She wasn't beaten by one Jedi. She was beaten by an entire alliance of some of the most dangerous Force users in that era. Let's actually put this side by side. On raw weapon mechanics, Seventh Sister wins. No contest. Her saber had a genuine functional advantage. The detachable, flight-capable ring gave her options in combat that Second Sister's completely standard hilt never had. On duelist skill and kill record, Second Sister is closer than people think. She dominated most of her fights with Cal Kestis, and only lost once he'd fully completed his arc as a trained Jedi Knight. Her tactical mind made her dangerous, even without weapon gimmicks. On toughest opponents faced, Seventh Sister edges ahead again. She fought and survived extended engagements against Ahsoka Tano, Kanan Jarrus, and even briefly held against Maul, three of the most skilled lightsaber combatants of the era. Second Sister's confirmed opposition was primarily Cal Kestis and briefly Seri Junda. Based purely on canon facts, weapon design, combat record, and caliber of opponents survived, the Seventh Sister's lightsaber was the deadlier weapon. It had more built-in functionality, and she used it against a genuinely tougher roster of enemies. I still think Second Sister was the scarier hunter to actually run into, not because of the saber, because of what was underneath the mask. She wasn't guessing in a fight. She was calculating you the entire time. A blade with extra tricks is dangerous. An opponent who's already 3 moves ahead of you before the blade even ignites is worse. Notice how almost every Inquisitor we've seen since 2014 has a slightly different version of this same base weapon. That's not just a writer's choice. It's a merchandising and game design goldmine. Every new Inquisitor sells a new lightsaber toy, a new replica prop, a new in-game cosmetic. Lucasfilm and Respawn clearly figured out that same core concept. New hilt keeps both collectors and gamers coming back. And honestly, it worked, because we're still out here making videos comparing them years later. Who do you think actually wins in a straight one-on-one duel? Second Sister or Seventh Sister? Let's argue about it down below.